Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I wasn't hitting my pen at all. This is Hunter here. And I'm here with Colin. Colin, how are you, sir?
Yeah, nobody's hitting any pens. Don't worry about any pen sounds. You're just imagining it.
Yeah, we don't smoke weed on this podcast. How dare you? But we are here to talk about a movie that I know you were super excited for. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Pacific Rim Uprising, which I actually rewatched the first Pacific Rim. I gotta admit, I don't love it as much as you and Scott, but I really do enjoy the hell out of the movie.
Yeah, I love the original Pacific Rim. Yeah, I think that's always been clear. you weren't as big of a fan. I don't know. I love the I think the fact that is just kind of going for the same thing that we're all trying to look for in a movie like Transformers, but it just accomplished it so much better. Where you have like the giant robots, but you're fighting some kaijus, all of like old school Godzilla type of fanfare. So hey, I was all for it.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Pacific Rim is that it automatically is better than the Transformers movies because you can actually see what's happening in these movies, and that is impressive. Like, I mean, it's very blatantly done. Like the kaiju, right? Those are monsters.
Yeah, the kaijus, the monsters. Yep. Like
they make the kaijus all look different. God, what are the robots that use the Pacific Rims?
Oh, the Jaegers.
The Jaegers, thank you. Yeah. Right. I was like, shot! And it's like, oh, no, those are the robots. Okay.
Yeah, Jaeger shot.
But the Jaegers all like have very differentiating. I mean, they all kind of have that almost like Iron Man kind of core look to them, like as far as the chest, but each one has a different coloring. Like some have swords, some have this. Like it, and I do appreciate the concept that you have to put on that helmet and kind of like work together. It's with someone else to actually, pilot the Jaegers. I think that's a very nice little, because your minds have to become one, right?
Yeah. So the way they set it up in the first one was that the robots were so gigantic that if you were really going to control it, the only way you could properly do it was with your mind. And they were too big that one person couldn't do it. So you have to be with someone compatible that you can kind of like, like one side of your brain controls one side of your body, so they only are just controlling one side of the robot each.
Which, all things considered, is surprisingly like specific science for something like this. That actually makes some sense. Actually, it's like, good for you. But so jumping into this movie, this was 10 years. This is 10 years after the last one. Mm-hmm. So John Boyega, his character. He's the son of Idris Elba's character from the first one, who sacrifices himself. Mm-hmm. And so he's the rebel. He doesn't want to be in the academy because that's for losers, and I'm my own man and all that. I mean, the thing is, like, if there is a complaint against this movie, it's tropey as fuck. Like any trope you can think of. Yeah. But honestly, though, man, like, why I don't think I love this as much as you, I was at least entertained for most of it, which, that's a credit to the movie. Kind of your thoughts, man.
Yeah, so I should probably say sooner than later, I was super disappointed with this movie, by the way. But you were talking about John Boyega. I wanted to talk about him first. I really liked him in this role.
I did too.
I liked the fact that he finally got to speak in his native accent, which was refreshing.
Thank you, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm sure he felt that as quite a relief. Everybody's been taking, no one's going to take you seriously unless you're speaking in an American accent. He's like, okay, fine. And then this movie, they just kind of let him do the British accent. And I was like, that's cool. I'm glad that he did that. But, yeah, like you were saying, he's
Oh, sorry. This random cough just came over me. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, NBD. Yeah, so I liked his character. I liked that he was kind of that rebel figure. He was, um, going around finding parts within old scrapped Jaegers and selling them kind of on the black market, to get things as petty as some quick advertising with Oreos and something like that in the start, which was like the first sign where I was just like, oh man, this is getting dangerously going towards that Michael Bay, style in what you're doing right now. But I liked what they did with his character, and I thought he was good portraying it for sure. So what did you think of like the girl? So the other big character in this movie is John Boyega comes across a girl in the start where he's collecting scrapyard junk, and he meets this young girl who's been collecting scrapyard junk and somehow creating a giant robot. That's not explained at all. I don't know.
No, it's really not. But
I was like, oh, does she have access to crazy cranes and 20 strong men to go help her put this together? But
yeah, and unlike the story in Noah, there were no rock monsters to help her.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, hey, even Noah had rock monsters.
That's true. Exactly.
So what did you think of her and her joining this like main story?
So I will at least say, it's like they took that part of the plot from Transformers the last night, and then they went, okay, let's not make the girl super annoying, because she actually has a tragic backstory. Like when you find out why she's kind of as fucked up as she is, I went, oh wow, that's unfortunate for you. So when they tie it back at the end to her needing to jump to kind of get somewhere, I went, you know what? Yes, cliche, but a well done cliche. I thought she was fun, actually. She puts this one, not upperclassman. That makes me not the Nick Cannon movie. She puts this one like person in charge, whatever, her sergeant, whatever. She's just being a bitch short. She puts her in this arm bar. I went, damn, okay. I was like, all right, girl, get yours, So I don't know, man. I thought she was all right. I think they're trying to find that balance between her being, annoying and trying to prove herself. And I don't know. I thought they struck a balance. What kind of weirded me out is that John Boyega kept mentioning how handsome he was to her, and they pretty much go out of their way to go like, oh yeah, she's like 16. I'm like, whoa, like ease up, Boyega, like don't.
Yeah, their relationship was a little weird.
Yeah, let's relax here. But yeah, I thought she was fun though. It would be interesting to see what she'll be doing in like a couple years, because I actually thought she had some screen presence. What did you kind of think about her?
I didn't like the direction they took in going with like having the younger character and making this like, the Nick Jr. version of Pacific Rim.
Damn.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, the first one is, like, the best of the best, most badass pilots in the entire world, and they all have their Jaegers, and it's like, like all these, it's like the the best of the best. Like, the craziest robot pilots fighting the most hardcore monsters. And, that's kind of the nature of the whole movie, is just, like, Earth defending itself. And then this one's more like, okay, everything's chilled out now, and they're kind of like searching for these recruits so that they can build up their, having an army of pilots ready to go, just in case the kaijus ever come back or they need them. And you have to start early was like their throwaway excuse for that. They were just like, oh, you got to get them early, so that's why all the young kids are there. I was watching it and I was like, I don't know if I like this, or I don't know if I'm annoyed that it's like, the younger Nickelodeon kids all getting into it. I was like, it kind of made me feel like it was like Divergence or the Hunger Games type of thing. You know what I mean?
Uh-oh.
No, but really, like, because it's kind of going towards that, like, that young adult novel type movie then. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine if it's its own movie, but I feel like you're taking the direction of the movie into this like YA novel. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not for all these scenes. But I will say, in contrary to that, I did like how John Boyega kind of clashed with the other dude.
Scott Eastwood is
Yeah, Scott Eastwood, who is not the best actor. Let's all be
Okay,
honest.
okay. I was about to say, so
Like the characters, like I'm talking about the direction of the movie, like that, like what they were doing with that. Like I was more interested in that than all the kids. But like, yeah. So yeah, tell me what you thought of Scott Eastwood though acting in this part.
So here's what I will say, and I have to tie it back to this. I think some people probably know where I'm going. He said recently in an interview, he's like, "Oh yeah, I want to be Wolverine." And now after watching this, I'm like, "I don't want you to be Wolverine." I'm like,
He's kind of hollow in his acting a little bit, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, they kind of acknowledge why him and John Boyega don't get along, but
Yeah,
I was kind
he
of
basically just does. He's basically kind of being protective bro over his supposed girl, right?
But they never established that that's his girl, though, and I was
Right.
like, well,
They're both they're like competitive over the girl, but then the girl is only there to like bolster their competitive nature against each other. But like she really had no point in being in the movie at all.
And that is the biggest axe I have to grind against this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think did they say her name? Wasn't like
I don't remember it. I definitely don't remember it.
But yeah, she just Jules, I think is what it was.
Yeah, at one point they're gonna go off to battle, and she like gives them both a kiss on the cheek, and it's like she's kind of playing that Princess Leia role, like firing the two dudes up, getting them all riled up, but then that goes nowhere.
Yeah, it would have been really funny if Scott Eastwood's character found out it was his sister. He's like, oh,
yeah, come on, that would have been great. I mean, at least do something.
Yeah, that could have saved that plot line. It's like, oh, by the way, bro, your sister was strangling you. Oh God, my dick. Like that would have been would have been.
I mean, it happened to Luke Skywalker. Come on,
it did. Yeah. Do you think that was sorry, not get off of Star Wars. Anyways, but but honestly though, Lambert is Scott Eastwood's character.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, like he's like general or something, right?
Yeah. So it was just very, it was very much a dick measuring contest between the two of them. Like, oh no, man, she likes me, bro. No, she likes me. And I'm just like, okay. I do appreciate the fact that at least the agency, or the government, whatever, acknowledged like, hey, the kaiju are coming back. We're not going to be dumb and not be prepared. Like, I do appreciate that nice wrinkle, because usually humanity's stupid and they're like, oh no, we defeated them, they would never come back, that'd be silly. It's like, no, they are coming back and we need to be prepared. So that was a nice refreshing change of pace to just not have everyone in fucking denial.
Yeah. And I kind of like the way that it played out, that like the kaiju got back into like using Charlie Day's character, you know what I mean? Like, what did you think of that? Like the way they took the twist of it.
So again, telegraphed, but I did go, man, that is actually, the twist was well handled. I will say.
I didn't think it was super telegraphed until they finally showed him come home and like the kaiju brain was like in his closet, and you're like, oh shit, okay, he's evil.
Yeah, I actually did like that twist though. I went, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I liked him in this as well. Charlie Day.
I just like seeing Charlie Day in anything, Uh-huh. I mean, he is king of the rats after all, but but I thought he was fun in this. I thought he had fun with the role. It was cool to see, I'm so sorry. I want to say Japanese actors. I hope that's right. I think it's Japanese actors. In this,
who are you talking about? I think you're probably talking about a Chinese actor, but that's okay.
Okay, well
I don't know
Chinese and Japanese actors and actresses there. Just
are you talking about the girl that was John Boyega's sister, or are you talking about the like other person that was kind of leading?
I was talking about like everyone. Honestly, I was just trying.
Okay, well, that's problematic.
Agreed, but John Boyega's sister in particular, I thought she actually did a good job. I liked their chemistry with each other. I mean,
she wasn't in the first one.
Yeah, she wasn't being a bitch, but she was just being like, "Hey, you're fucking up. Stop doing that." Like the girl who was running the corporation. Wasn't that oh god, was that
Oh, I don't. I don't know
I
if she was.
because I stopped just short of saying they look so similar. I was like, oh, don't do that. But
I think it's this Tian Jing
yeah,
actress.
okay, yeah, it is
Who
her.
apparently was in Kong Skull Island. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was her because I remember she. Never mind, I'm gonna stop short of my joke. But yeah, it was her. But she was a bitch though, but came off as a badass. And her and she's just busting Charlie Day's balls, like the whole, not literally, but but figuratively. But she was actually quite a bit of fun. That kind of playing that evil, CEO. I think the problem with this movie, and I never thought I'd say this with a Pacific Rim movie, is that there was too much going on. They had too many plot threads going. It was like the evil corporation, and then we have to get prepared for the kaiju, and then you have the young upstart want to prove herself, and then John Boyega's character. Oh, my dad was this great warrior, this great soldier, and I have to live up to it. And just there's just too much shit going on, and it doesn't converge well, to be totally honest, as they kind of are scrambling to wrap everything up. It does just feel very muddled towards the end. Like, kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think when it's directly, carrying on the story of the first one, which I thought the first one was just, I genuinely really like how that plot plays out and all of the characters. I thought this movie basically like takes everything that happens in the first movie, like the relationships and everybody in it, and they just kind of throw it out the window. I mean, they definitely have Idris Elba being represented in his son, but the main character is like almost never even mentioned. I don't even think they even talk about him once. So that type of stuff bothers me. But yeah, I think I agree with you when you say there's too much going on. I would go a step further. There's too much going on that I just don't care about. like I think if they would have dialed it in with where the plot lines were really coming from, and they were focused more on the kaiju and like who is this mysterious robot that first comes and attacks, like that stuff was really interesting. And then I think like the payoff for all of that was pretty weak too. I thought like the beauty of the first one, I would say, is that it's just one big robot fighting one big lizard, and they're out in the ocean, and like, let's just get it on. And there it was. And then this movie, like the first opening scene where it's the little tiny robot and it's the girls, that she called it like Junker or something like that, or Scrapper.
Yeah. Scrapper, yeah.
Yeah, and so Scrapper's like trying to get away from the big police robot, and she's rolling up into a ball like Sonic and rolling around, and I was like, how is that faster? I'm like, the amount of friction alone would just immediately stop it immediately. Like, it's much faster to run. So, but it just, that part just like screamed kind of like dumb, lighthearted bullshit you would see in Transformers, instead of like sticking to like how this was like a serious movie where it was like, the pilots were like fucking, American Air Force, like the top of the top elite fighter pilots, where you got a similar feeling of like watching Top Gun for the first time. And you want to see the elite, the best of the best, going against the craziest monster that's trying to take down the world. Like, the stakes couldn't be higher. And then in this one, it's it's like a little girl running away from the cops, and then you have another robot coming. It's not even like the giant, overwhelming lizards anymore, and that's what the whole series was based on. Not until the end do you get kaijus, and then I've already grown to hate all these kids so much that they're the only pilots left in the world that can like get put into these robots, and then they're fighting. I mean, I was rooting for the lizards at that point.
Damn.
So I mean, yeah, to be honest, like I hated how they how all these plot lines came together at the end, because you were talking about there's all these plot lines, there's too much going on, and then when it all comes and converges together at the end, it's all converging into one big battle to stop the three kaijus that got out. due to Charlie Day, sleeping with his brain kaiju in his bedroom.
Well, that's really funny to me because, I mean, watching this movie, I was sitting there, I was thinking, I wonder if me and Colin are gonna lie. This has just been a fun night because we just are not. I feel like we're just off a little bit. Like it's almost like a romantic comedy. And I ran out in the rain. I'm like, Colin, where are you? And you just walked out of the diner. It's like, oh, like we're timing.
Yeah, two ships passing in the dead of night.
There you go. Well said. I agree with you because that scene I went, wait a minute, the fizz, okay, like, and I was like, that's not how. Sure, all right. I will say I thought some of the fight scenes. There's this fight scene where they're in like the Arctic because sure, and I thought that fight scene was actually really well done.
That one was good. Yep.
But apparently though, this movie should have been called Pacific Rim Fuck Tokyo because they pretty much said fuck. Like you think the Avengers caused a lot of damage? No, these giant robots crashing the buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so can I ask one thing? Because if I'm gonna give DC shit for it, I have to give this movie shit for it.
Hell yeah.
There's this point where the robot like reaches down and uses like this electronic like whip to take like 6 cars and crush them into a ball and hit the kaiju with it. Weren't there people in those cars and you just crushed them like into a ball and just hit a robot?
Yeah. And the first Pacific Rim didn't do this, by the way. Most of the fights in Pacific Rim are out in the ocean. And no buildings, no people were getting killed until like the very end where like the stakes have gotten so high. They finally they have a fight in the middle of an alley, but by that time the whole city's evacuated. This one, yeah, you're right. Like, and it's even worse when the robot first shows up at the like UN meeting or something, right? Like millions of people maybe have died in that scene.
Yep.
They completely trashed all the buildings. And that's the type of stuff, again, where I feel like everything that Pacific Rim did right to separate themselves from Transformers, this movie trended backwards in the opposite way towards, stuff that I don't like.
Yeah, the thing is,
DC
man,
does a bad job too, like you said.
Yeah, I think what was frustrating me is I would be like, oh, that little girl is like being kind of cool, and then they would just have like John Boyega talk about Scott Eastwood's character, but God, he's really handsome, he's very sexy, and I'm just like, this is weird. What is happening? I'm like,
that
stop
was a weird line. That was at that point I was just like, oh man, is he actually gay? I was like, that'd be an interesting storyline if they made his character gay.
Dude, see, you know what? At that point, I said, fuck, why not?
Yeah, that's what I said too. But then immediately they had like another scene where they were both like sharing their mind. He was like, hey, stop thinking about my girl. And I was like, well, he just looked into his head. Apparently he's not gay.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
so
well, that
they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, oh God, like, that, I don't know, man. I just kept going back and forth with this. It felt like one step forward and then 2 steps back. That's what I kept thinking with this movie.
Did you see it in, what did you see it? Like,
I just saw it Cinemark at, I think it's, God, when did I see it? I saw it at 1:40 in the afternoon on a Friday.
Yeah.
And, after going and picking up my disposable pin, which was great, and it was a pretty full theater for early Friday afternoon. I mean, I will say, and I think this is important to acknowledge, this movie really did speak to me on the fact that it really helps what kind of audience you're seeing it with, because there's this dude about 6 rows back from me and my girl, and this guy was so happy with this fucking movie. I don't know if he had been in a coma and he just woke up and he was like, fuck yeah, Pacific Rim Uprising. But this dude was freaking out on everything. There's this point where the kaiju, or not the kaiju, the other Jaeger, like the rogue Jaeger busts out his swords at the UN, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like this guy, like this guy was so fucking happy. I wish, like, I honestly, and I'm not even being facetious when I say this, I hope I enjoy Infinity War half as much as this guy loved Pacific Rim Uprising. This guy was over the moon about it. He probably would have given it 9 out of 10. To be totally honest, if we could have talked to this guy, but
yeah. Yeah, you have to admit though, if you ask that guy and you're just like, "What'd you think of the plot?" and he's like, "Oh, I don't care about the plot." He's like, "I loved seeing those giant, robots fighting with swords. Like, let's go." And you know what? To some extent, I can understand that, and I get that. And there was moments where I felt just like that.
No, I agree with you, and I think what is kind of is frustrating is that this is as hollow as it is, but it's still better than any Transformers movies that they've put out. So, I mean, I have to give it that much. I feel like I'm kind of grading on a curve, if that makes sense, because the certain movies have been so bad. This is directed by Stephen S. DeKnight, and he's also one of the writers. He, of course, was the showrunner for Daredevil season 1. Which is why, to be totally honest, I was expecting more from the writing department. And so when I didn't get that, I kind of went, oh, well, what the fuck? So to kind of wrap up here and get to my final thoughts, I kept going back and forth on what I thought my grade was going to be. And I think for me, and I think we've talked about this a lot on off mic, having a big TV in your place is awesome. And for movies like this, you can watch it at home. And yeah, you're not seeing it on as big a screen as like IMAX, whatever, but you're home, you're comfortable, you're watching this on your big 50-inch with surround sound. You'd probably have fun with this. And also, I think this is how something like this needs to be seen. I mean, buy this on Black Friday when it drops down to like $11, as a special. I'm gonna give this a C+ for me, because it's not as good as the first one. I'd probably give the first one a B or B+. It's not as good as the first one. Like, let's just get that out there right now. But I was never mad. I was just kind of, to borrow your line, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And that's kind of that's kind of where I kept coming up and landing on it. So yeah, C+ for me. Colin, kind of your final thoughts and your grades, sir.
Yeah, and that's always kind of a good way to gauge really what you feel about what a grade should be. Is like, were you disappointed? Were you actually angry? Did it make you really happy? Did it make you cry? All these different emotions you can get from watching a movie that we've seen countless times now. I think I was definitely really disappointed. That was my main overall feeling watching this movie.
Okay.
Because I played out, even if some of the scenes were a little cheesy in the first one, the overall, like, there was way less cheese than this movie. And the plot, I just didn't like the direction they took the story. So that's going as deep as just me not liking the writing involved in this movie, which I thought the writing was fine in the first one. I think you can tell why, or how the movie suffered with Del Toro being gone. Like, the dude just won an Oscar for how good his movie was that he made instead of making this movie. Like, when you take that guy away from a movie, you're going to get a weaker product. That's just in the nature of what you're doing. You can't take, the Academy Award winning director away and not get a worse movie. So him being at the helm of the first movie, it's just so much better. The scenes just play out and there's just more care put into every scene. That being said, they still had incredible CGI artists working on this movie. The big battle scenes is what this movie is all about. I did see it in IMAX 3D, and that was impressive. like some of these big over the top fight scenes in IMAX 3D. I don't know if it was worth the price of admission, but I was not disappointed when it came to that. So that was really cool. Getting to a grade, I was really disappointed. I thought this movie deserved better. You still get some good fight scenes, but overall, I think, I was just torn the whole time because I did love the first one so much. I think I ended up, this is a C from me. Little, yeah. So this was a C. Little
It's a
anecdote
C.
though.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I think my grade wasn't worse was because I was sitting in like a mostly empty theater, but there was this super chill dad that brought his son, who was probably like 10, to come see this PG-13 movie, and like he totally took him. Like mom probably
Oh.
didn't know. And the kid was watching all the previews, and after every preview, the kid was like talking, like we saw Jurassic World with like all of the like lava coming in like IMAX 3D, and then the kid was just like, he's like, what was happening to all the dinosaurs? Type of thing. And then and then the Deadpool trailer,
Yeah.
the dad was like, hey, I think that one's probably a little too sassy for you to see. And then the kid was so cute. He's like, yeah, Dad, you're probably right. Like I could just hear him. But I was just like the idea of that kid watching this movie. I was like, dude, that kid loves this movie right now. He is not criticizing the plot. He is seeing a movie with giant robot fight scenes, like over the top. I can just hope that he would be smart enough that he realizes this is still better than Transformers.
Yeah. Oh no, this is way better than Transformers. Like, let's just get that out of the way. It is, but yeah, I do agree with you. It was a bummer, and I think also, if I hadn't watched the first one heading into this one, I might have given it a higher grade. But I didn't enjoy the first one so much. I just go, it's like getting to a B. I just don't think that's. I only paid $5 for this, and I'm just like, yeah, it's worth $5. So C kind of puts in that rental, that kind of rental area.
Yeah.
I would rent this on Amazon Instant Video for $5.99 in HD.
I live in Seattle.
Okay,
It was $20
so
for IMAX 3D. I would not recommend that to anyone.
Damn!
Anyone in the world to pay $20 to see this in any form or
Good.
facet. Just wait till it's on. Watch it on a 65-inch TV and with the surround sound. You'll be good.
Well, we're seeing Avengers in IMAX, and those are 15. I was just like, yep, that's.
Oh
worth
hell
it.
yeah!
Like,
Of course,
that's worth its weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, but guys, what did you think of Pacific Rim Uprising? Let us know. Let us know what you thought about the first one. I'd love to get people's thoughts on that too. Let us know in the comments below. You can follow us on SoundCloud, Podbean, iTunes, and Google Music at The Real Pineapple. Like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow our bud Scott. Scott, we love you, buddy. At
The Real
Newman the
O'Neill.
First, and you can follow Colin on Twitter at. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll have reviews up this weekend for Ready Player One and for that new Tyler Perry movie that I just don't want to think about because it comes up this weekend. Oh god, what's it called? I had it. I think my brain is just like, don't talk about it. Acrimony. That's what. Yeah, not. Ugh, God, I can't believe we talk about that. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.